Okay, so what I'd like to talk about today is what I believe to be the issue of our age. If there is ever a great judgment from God on the United States of America that just leaves us heaped forever, I believe that is going to be because of abortion. So why is abortion wrong and what needs to be done about it? Well, I think that abortion needs to be illegal, and I have drawn up a syllogism to kind of prove my point here. And I'll just dive right into it. First, abortion unjustly kills an unborn baby. Second, the unjust killing of a person is murder. Third, unborn babies are people. So therefore, fourth, abortion is murder. And then also fifth, murder should be illegal. So therefore, abortion, six, should be illegal. Now, if I were a pro-choice person, I might attack this argument on one or more of 3 points. I might argue that abortion is in fact justified, can be justified. Or I might argue that unborn babies are not people. Or even I could argue that murder should be legal. And I'd like to address each of these in turn. And I'll just start with some possible justifications for abortion. And these I pulled from abortprocon.org. And the first one of these is population control, that abortion aids in population control. Well, so do hydrogen bombs, so I'll just move on. Secondly, abortion has said it's actually argued that abortion reduces crime. And the idea here is if an impoverished woman kills her baby, the chance that he'll later turn to crime will drop to zero. But, of course, this also eliminates the possibility that he would grow up to become a saint. And, let's follow this reasoning to its conclusion. If poverty causes crime, if we want to eliminate crime, then, why do we stop at abortion? Why not just kill off the entire lower class? So, I'll move on. Last, it's argued that aborted babies would have been unwanted. But since when does wantedness have anything to do with whether someone is worthy of death? The death penalty is the most extreme punishment that we inflict on a person. So we don't just give it out because willy-nilly, because we don't want somebody around. This is as if I were to say to someone, I don't want anything to do with you, so I'm going to spare your feelings and just kill you. So, all of these excuses are pretty lame. And, there are some harder cases that I could deal with, but really all of them fail to account for the fact that we're dealing with a human life, taking a human life here. And that'll take us into our next point about personhood, that people argue that unborn babies are not people. But I think it's fairly obvious that what we're dealing with is a human being. No one thinks that a woman's going to give birth to a litter of puppies or lay a crocodile egg or something. So obviously we're dealing with humans. But and also John C. Wilkes argues that the differences between a born and unborn person is just a difference of degree. It's not really a qualitative difference. It's just like how far developed are you? How much do you depend on your mother to survive? But the pro-choice person wants to argue that there's a distinction between a human being, as in a blob of tissue that can kill, and a person, as in like someone with rights and dignity. But I like to show some pictures and this slide here, and show why this is a bad idea. So what we have here, this is called a zygote. It is about a day old human being here. And you would look at something like this and you might think, oh, that could be anything. But if we leave this thing alone, if we can kill it, it's going to, be walking around look like any of us. As we see in this next slide, we start on this development track. It starts to look less like a peanut there and more like a little person there. So, it starts to look more like this little guy. And, would anybody argue that this person is not a human because he can't sit upright? He's just not that well developed. Or this little guy, we think that he's not a person because he can't talk right or whatever. And I mean, we look at these guys and we think, well, obviously that is a person. You know, I wouldn't stand for him to be ripped apart or burned to death in saline solution. So then, why do we stand for something like this? Or for this? Is this not a person here? How about this? Is this a person? This woman's name is Gianna Jessen. She is an abortion survivor. And really, in a sense, we're all abortion survivors because, I mean, apparently she's open season on us before we're born. But in her case, her mother actually tried to have her aborted, but she survived the process. She was born alive, albeit with cerebral palsy thanks to the saline solution she had been immersed in. But, I mean, is she not a person? I mean, if we follow this line of reasoning that, you know, the unborn are not people, why is she any different from any of the other aborted babies? You know, I mean, she's just, yeah, so I'll just move on. And really, thankfully, we don't get to decide who is and who isn't a person. If we accept this idea that we can be defined such that we don't have rights, then our rights really don't mean anything. They're just kind of like, you know, our rights are not ours by right. They're just, you know, what people agree to at any particular time. And also, God actually tells us specifically in Exodus 21 that babies are to be given not only the same protection, you know, unborn babies, but actually greater protection under the law than adult men. So we can move on to this part about murder being illegal. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time here because, you know, nobody's actually going to argue that. You know, good luck getting it through Congress, however bad Congress might be. But yeah, this is what the pro-choice position is left with. Is you know, murder has to be legal to protect their position. So if abortion cannot be justified, and if the unborn are clearly people, and murder should be legal, then abortion should be illegal, and we must work toward that goal. So what do? We got to speak. We really have to speak out on this. People are just culpably stupid on it, and they need to be educated and change hearts and minds. And we can elect serious pro-life leaders. You know, and most of our politicians are deplorable, but you know, we need people to understand this is a serious issue. It's a human rights issue, and yeah, and this has to work because it must. I mean, this is a matter of justice, so it can't go on. And God's not asleep at the wheel on this. Every single one of those babies is going to be avenged when the time is right. So I've shown you that abortion is murder, that it must be stopped, and that it shall be stopped. And it's not merely murder, because I mean, if there had just been one abortion, it would have been murder. But you know, we're dealing with a large scale of abortions. The National Right to Life Committee estimates some 54 million abortions since 1973 in the United States alone. So I mean, this is a mass murder of Holocaust proportions, really. Hitler only killed 6 million Jews. Here we are, Americans, we killed 54 million babies. I mean, it just staggers the mind to think, how many of us are dead? How many of us are lonely because people aren't here that should have been here? So, and history will judge you by where you stand on this issue. No one cares about the technological marvels of the Nazis or the philanthropy of the Southern slaveholders. We only remember these people for the evil they did in this world. So, and so will be with us if nothing is done. Thank you.